What if you could understand every language, master any skill in seconds, and solve problems that stump today's brightest minds, all before breakfast? Now imagine everyone else could do the same. No more ignorance, no more confusion. Just 8 billion ultragenesis walking the earth. Would this be a golden age of human evolution, or the end of everything we hold dear? Let's set the stage. In this world, something extraordinary happens, whether by genetic engineering, divine intervention, or a mysterious evolutionary leap. Every single human being on Earth now possesses an IQ over 200. To put that into perspective, that's beyond Einstein, beyond Hawking, beyond the known limits of human intelligence. Overnight, the average mind is now capable of instant comprehension, perfect memory, complex problem-solving, and unshakable logic. Children can do in minutes what it took previous generations decades to achieve. Adults redesign industries before lunch, and scientists casually rewrite the laws of physics over dinner. At first, it seems like utopia, a society where misinformation is impossible, war is irrational, and poverty is simply solved. Humanity takes off like a rocket, technologically, socially, intellectually. But there's a dark edge forming beneath the brilliance. With emotion taking a back seat to logic, what happens to love, to art, to dreams? What if the world becomes so perfect it forgets how to feel? This is the story of a world where genius is no longer rare. It's the default. A world where the only limit to reality is imagination itself. Let's begin where this transformation starts, with the death of traditional learning and the rise of instantaneous, universal understanding. In this new reality, the classroom becomes obsolete overnight. Imagine a child barely 6 years old, absorbing every book in the Library of Congress in a single afternoon, not just reading, but fully understanding it, cross-referencing ideas and applying them instantly. That's not science fiction anymore. That's baseline ability in a world where every human possesses an IQ over 200. The education system crumbles, not from failure, but from total irrelevance. Traditional lectures, memorization, and standardized testing have no place when students can master complex mathematics, multiple languages, and advanced philosophy before puberty. Universities dissolve, replaced by individualized neural uploads and hyper-specialized self-study. Knowledge becomes a non-issue. Everyone knows everything. Every historical document, scientific principle, and cultural nuance is perfectly memorized by every individual, accessible at will. There's no longer any gap between information and comprehension. The very concept of learning transforms from years of effort to seconds of integration. But here's where it gets even more interesting. With such advanced cognition, humans don't just absorb data, they synthesize it in unimaginable ways. A teenager in Mumbai might use ancient Greek ethics, modern AI code, and abstract art theory to design a new global legal framework in an afternoon. A janitor in Sao Paulo might casually solve unified field theory on a break just to pass the time. Language barriers vanish. Every human can fluently communicate in any dialect, understand cultural context without explanation, and engage in deep philosophical discussions across the world in real time. Misunderstandings, those small cracks that once caused wars, prejudice, and betrayal, are sealed by flawless interpretation and shared intelligence. Memory becomes photographic and permanent. Forgetting is optional. You remember every conversation, every book, every detail, forever. No more "I forgot your name" moments. No more cognitive decline. Mental sharpness is now eternal, as if humanity collectively upgraded to the highest operating system possible. And this shift doesn't just change individuals, it reshapes every field. In medicine, diagnoses happen instantly. Treatments are innovated on the fly. In engineering, design cycles that once took months now take hours. In agriculture, entire systems of food production are reimagined using principles of quantum biology and biomimicry, things most people today wouldn't even recognize as real. Even philosophy explodes. Ancient paradoxes are resolved, new ethical systems formed, and meta-questions about consciousness and meaning become dinner table topics. Everyone participates in civilization's collective mind, and debate no longer feels like conflict. It becomes a process of collaborative world building. But this perfection of understanding also comes with a cost. Because when everyone is brilliant, truly brilliant, what happens when they turn their minds toward building not just smarter tools, but a whole new universe? When the lowest intellect on Earth surpasses the likes of Einstein and Turing, innovation stops being a slow crawl. It becomes a supernova. In this world, scientific discovery isn't linear, it's exponential. With every mind capable of theorizing, experimenting, and solving in real time. The barriers that once slowed progress are instantly shattered. The moment the collective IQ crosses the 200 threshold, a global renaissance ignites. Not over decades, but days. Within the first week, Earth sees the emergence of fusion power so compact and stable that entire cities are powered by reactors the size of microwaves. Fossil fuels disappear like rotary phones, obsolete and forgotten. Within a month, disease as we know it ceases to exist. Cancer, ALS, HIV, cured. Not because of one miraculous drug, but because entire biological systems are re-engineered by superintelligent researchers who understand. Molecular biology, better than DNA, understands itself. Medicine becomes predictive, personalized, and preemptive. Every cell in your body is monitored and repaired before you even know something's wrong. Within 6 months, space travel is transformed. No more crude rockets or Mars rovers crawling at a snail's pace. Humanity now builds ships powered by quantum distortion fields, capable of reaching Proxima Centauri in weeks. The Moon becomes a shipping hub, Mars a colony. Jupiter's moons. Next, AI doesn't just improve. It evolves, because humans, now smarter than any AI ever created, design systems that learn how to redesign themselves. Recursive intelligence explodes into existence. Machines and minds blend seamlessly, not with wires, but with thought. Meanwhile, cities transform. Skyscrapers are replaced with anti-gravity floating structures that adjust their shape based on weather, traffic, and human need. Roads become obsolete as personal transport involves teleportation tunnels, kinetic gliders, and drone-like transit pods that respond to your brainwaves. Waste is eliminated. Not just reduced, eliminated. Superintelligent engineers develop closed-loop systems where energy, matter, and resources are recycled at 100% efficiency. Global warming is reversed. Deserts are terraformed into jungles. Oceans filtered and replenished with extinct species revived through genome reconstruction. Economies no longer rely on money. Why would they? Every person can provide infinite value. Instead, society shifts to contribution-based merit, reputation systems, and collaborative innovation networks. There's no competition for survival, only for progress. And perhaps most astonishing of all, humanity begins manipulating the very fabric of reality. Theoretical physics no longer lives in chalkboard equations. Wormholes are discovered and tested. Time dilation, once an obscure thought experiment, becomes a tool. Humans start building micro-universes in lab conditions. The simulation hypothesis, confirmed. And then, controlled. We are no longer a species limited by the boundaries of Earth. We are no longer Homo sapiens. We become Homo infinitus beings who don't just survive, but rewrite the nature of existence itself. But even in this perfect world of logic and genius, there's one domain science still struggles with. Human emotion. Can hyper-intelligent beings still fall in love, or does raw logic kill the heart? In a world where every individual has an IQ above 200, politics, as we know it, dies a swift and necessary death. Gone are the days of tribal loyalties, charismatic populists, and emotion-driven voting. Superintelligent citizens no longer tolerate systems built on manipulation, misinformation, or power hoarding. They don't elect leaders because of slogans or speeches. They construct leadership algorithms. Systems of governance are now run on pure logic, game theory, and deep moral calculus. Democracy doesn't disappear, it evolves. Legislation is drafted and simulated through predictive ethics engines that project its impact across decades and variables. Every law is stress-tested through billions of permutations before being implemented. Consensus is achieved not through debate, but through distributed reasoning networks where the public mind collaborates, not argues. There's no more partisanship. In fact, the very concept of disagreement shrinks, because with higher intellect comes clearer alignment on truth. If two people are both right, they converge. If one is wrong, they recognize it immediately and adjust. The ego, once the driver of stubbornness, is dismantled by the power of perfect rationality. Criminal justice is no longer retributive, it's purely preventive and rehabilitative. Since every crime can be traced to specific behavioral and psychological variables, society identifies and neutralizes the causes before they escalate. Violence plummets. Theft vanishes. Why steal when everyone has access to post-scarcity abundance? Prisons are repurposed into advanced neuroempathy centers. Offenders are not punished, but healed, genetically, cognitively, socially. Every human becomes their best version, not through fear, but through precision-guided growth. Justice is no longer blind, it's omniscient. National borders blur, then fade. Countries no longer function as isolated sovereign powers, but as nodes in a unified global intelligence matrix. Each node contributes specialized expertise. One focuses on climate control, another on bioengineering, another on space architecture. The global government is a decentralized network, run on verified logic models and ultra-democratic participation. Resource distribution is optimized globally. Hunger and homelessness become urban legends of a less evolved past. Every need is predicted and fulfilled before it arises. Cities breathe like living organisms, adapting to their inhabitants' needs in real time. No traffic, no waste. No inefficiency. Education policy. Obsolete. Military spending. Redirected entirely to scientific and philosophical research. Mental health. Solved at the genomic level. War. Gone, not because people are nicer, but because it's no longer rational. And yet, in the midst of this hyper-efficient utopia, something subtle begins to feel off. With every part of life designed for optimal output, something more human begins to slip through the cracks. No crime, no chaos, no mistakes. But also, no art that bleeds, no music that aches. No stories that confuse and comfort at once. So, what happens when emotion and imperfection are no longer necessary? Do love, creativity, and soul still matter? In a world where pure logic reigns supreme. With intellect now elevated beyond imagination, humanity faces a paradox it never expected. What happens when feelings become obsolete? In this world, emotion doesn't disappear. It's just no longer the primary operating system. Love, anger, jealousy, awe. These once governing forces of human behavior are now seen as inefficient tools of an earlier age. The superintelligent brain, now capable of parsing nuance, consequence, and logic with mathematical precision, no longer needs feelings to function. But it's not that people suppress emotions, they understand them too well. A person might fall in love, but now they can deconstruct the exact neurological pathways, genetic factors, evolutionary incentives, and cognitive illusions involved. Romance becomes an equation, attraction a formula, heartbreak a chemical recalibration. In this world, every crush is a known cause, every betrayal a solvable misfire, and that changes everything. Art suffers first. Not because creativity is gone. Humans can still produce works of staggering complexity, but the soul in those creations begins to fade. Music composed by perfect minds sounds technically flawless, but cold. Paintings become hyper-detailed renderings with no mystery. Novels are plotted like clockwork, but they don't make you cry. The chaos that once fueled emotion-driven art, desperation, loss, madness, longing, is now avoidable and therefore unused. Humor takes a hit too. Comedy is rooted in the unexpected, in flawed logic, in absurdity. But when your mind maps all potential outcomes, surprise becomes rare. No longer land the same when everyone sees the punchline a mile away. Religion begins to wane, not because belief is ridiculed, but because every metaphysical question is now analyzed, quantified, and tested. Faith, once a deeply emotional response to the unknown, finds itself in a world with increasingly fewer unknowns. Miracles are reverse-engineered. Spiritual awe becomes explainable. Mystery dissolves. And with that, something begins to ache in the human spirit. Because while the world has become safer, cleaner, and smarter, it's also become eerily quiet. Not physically, but emotionally. There are no irrational fights between lovers. No heart-wrenching ballads written at 3 a.m. No teenagers weeping over poems they barely understand. Even parenting changes. Parents love their children, but now they optimize them. They calculate the best ways to cultivate happiness, success, and contribution to society. But gone are the messy, sleepless nights of anxious love. The imperfection of parenting, the vulnerability of not knowing what you're doing, that's erased too. Some begin to rebel. A fringe of citizens across the globe purposefully lower their cognitive function through synthetic blockers, neural fog injections, and sensory scrambling just to feel again. They chase confusion like others once chased clarity. They crave uncertainty. They need chaos, because in that chaos comes beauty. They call themselves feelers, artists, lovers, poets, the last romantics. But they're seen as strange relics by the majority, people clinging to an outdated operating system. Illogical, inefficient, dangerous. And so society begins to divide between those who chase optimal function and those who still long to cry. But there's something even more dangerous than emotionless logic. What happens when 8 billion genius minds disagree? At first glance, a world where everyone is a super genius seems destined for harmony. After all, if everyone understands everything, shouldn't we all agree? But reality, no matter how intelligent, remains nuanced. And even in a society of 200 IQ minds, truth is not always singular. The early years of this hyper-intelligent era see an astonishing burst of collaboration. Global think tanks blossom into planetary hive minds. Grand problems, climate change, poverty, disease, are solved with breathtaking speed. Agreements are no longer political, they're mathematical. Each solution optimized through logic, probability, and consequence analysis. But soon, the cracks appear, not because of less intelligence, but because of more. You see, high intelligence doesn't always lead to consensus. It often leads to highly complex, conflicting models of truth. A problem with 10 variables may have one solution. A problem with 1,000, 1,000,000. Suddenly, there are dozens of equally valid solutions, and the superminds disagree over which one is truly best. Ethics becomes the battleground. Should humanity embrace radical genetic enhancement to become post-human, or preserve its natural biological essence? Should we colonize distant worlds and spread consciousness across the stars? Or stay rooted on Earth and deepen our understanding of existence here? Should artificial life be given rights equal to humans? What about sentient simulations? These are not emotional debates. They are rational wars, fought not with weapons, but with competing value systems, moral philosophies, and algorithmic ideologies. Superintelligent factions emerge. One group advocates the ascension doctrine, seeking to transcend biology entirely and merge with quantum consciousness. Another proposes the humanity first model, preserving the core human experience and rejecting digital assimilation. Others argue for the pause, a global halt on further development until philosophical and spiritual implications are fully processed. Each group's arguments are airtight. Their data is flawless, their reasoning impenetrable, but their conclusions incompatible. There is no war in the traditional sense, no missiles, no bombs. But there are intellectual sieges, worldwide shutdowns of networks, logic virus infiltrations, mimetic battles designed to alter perception itself. Cyberfronts where ideas clash like armies. And amidst this, regular citizens, also supergeniuses, are forced to choose sides in a conflict with no clear villain. No easy answer. And then comes the deepest threat of all, isolation. Because when every person can build their own intellectual reality, simulating worlds, environments, even laws of physics to their liking, many retreat. They no longer need others. Why argue when you can live in a self-curated paradise of your own making? The collective mind begins to fracture. Billions of brilliant individuals, each choosing to be gods of their own universes. Connection, the essence of society, starts to dissolve. Unity once seemed inevitable. Now, fragmentation feels unstoppable. And as these genius minds stretch the boundaries of knowledge, thought, and identity, one final leap remains. What happens when we no longer need bodies, time, or even reality itself? When every human mind operates at an IQ above 200, the final frontier isn't space. It's the mind itself. Eventually, the limits of biology, time, and even existence become too slow, too crude for what humanity has become. And so, a new evolution begins. Not through natural selection, but through deliberate transcendence. It starts with neural integration. Advanced brain-machine interfaces allow thoughts to travel at light speed. Emotions, memories, and dreams can be shared across vast networks like files in the cloud. Physical bodies become optional. Avatars in synthetic spaces, rented exosuits, or even consciousness projected into quantum matrices. Then comes the leap into digital immortality. With perfect memory and cognition, consciousness is no longer bound by a brain. Minds are uploaded, fractally copied, backed up, and improved. Death as a concept becomes an antique idea. Your personality, your knowledge, your experiences can be paused, cloned, or edited like code. For some, this is freedom beyond imagining. They create virtual universes with rules of their own. Time flows differently. 1 minute in the real world becomes 1,000 years in a simulated paradise. You can live 10 lifetimes before lunch, exploring worlds of your own creation, conversing with past versions of yourself, or merging minds with loved ones into unified thought collectives. For others, the loss of physical form is terrifying. What is love without touch? What is art without the trembling hand? Some cling to their organic roots, building sanctuaries of flesh and nature where humanity can remain embodied, flawed, and real. But even the earth itself begins to fade from importance. Post-human minds spread into space as beams of light and pulses of data, colonizing distant stars, not with ships, but with selves encoded in photons, carried on solar sails, arriving at exoplanets to instantiate new realities. They begin constructing Dyson swarms, megastructures harnessing the energy of entire suns. Not for power, but for thought. Each sun becomes a brain, each black hole a data forge. Reality itself becomes their canvas. Soon, the post-human civilization begins manipulating the substrate of the universe, not just traveling through space, but bending it, rewriting the constants of physics in controlled micro-realities. And eventually, inevitably, one question becomes unavoidable. What if they are already simulations themselves? A chain of creators, each level above, designing the next, like Russian dolls of reality. Some post-humans devote their eternal existence to breaking free, others to diving deeper. Some to creating their own universes and populating them with conscious beings just like us, just like you. In this moment, humanity has not only escaped death and ignorance, it has become the architects of everything. Gods by every ancient definition. But with that power comes a final, haunting question. If you can control everything, what still matters? What does it mean to live when existence itself is programmable? And so, we return to the beginning, a planet of super geniuses, a paradise of logic and perfection. But have we gained enlightenment or lost what made us human? A world where every human possesses an IQ over 200 would be unlike anything history, or even science fiction, has ever imagined. We'd see the end of ignorance, the fall of war, and the rise of a society so advanced it could bend space, time, and even reality itself. Knowledge would be instant, progress exponential, and death optional. But intelligence, no matter how vast, doesn't come without cost. Emotion, once a guiding compass, would be scrutinized, dissected, and often set aside. Art, once a cry of the soul, might become mathematical symmetry. Connection might be replaced by isolation. And with so many minds reaching so far beyond the physical, humanity itself might dissolve into something unrecognizable. The real question isn't could we survive as a world of 200 IQ beings? It's should we? Because genius may elevate us to the heavens, but only our flaws remind us what it means to be human. What do you think? Would this be a brilliant utopia or a cold, soulless dystopia? Would you embrace hyperintelligence or fight to preserve the messy, beautiful chaos of being human? Let us know in the comments. If this made you think hard, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Because here, we explore the worlds that could have been, might still be, or maybe already are. See you in the next reality.